Okay, so I've always been a big Zelda fan. One of my most favorite Zelda games was Link's Awakening for the Game Boy, so when I showed the first trailer I was actually really happy. Especially because this was also one of the Zelda games I really want to have a remake of. And there were a couple things why. First of all, the music. And I would also have loved to see those pictures that you could get in the game. And I would just love to see them in HD. But sadly, those got removed. But hey, with all of that said, let's just get into this. I'm excited. So, first a little bit of a backstory. Some people at Nintendo first tried to port A Link to the Past over to the Game Boy, and after some hours, it grew into an original project, which is pretty cool. It also took only 1.5 years to fully complete this game. Wow. Okay, with all that said, we finally can get into the game. Okay, so the game starts out by Link getting hit by thunder, and now he's washed up on this island called Koholint, a strange island that no one knows about except the people that live there. Now it's Link's goal to leave the island, but the only way to do that is to wake up the Windfish, a magical being that is sleeping in a big egg on Taltal Heights. Link needs to defeat the 8 nightmares in the 8 different dungeons scattered around the island to get the 8 magical instruments to wake up the Windfish. Okay, 8 sounds a bit weird for me now, but that's a pretty traditional Zelda story. It's not too complicated and it's also not too simple, but there's something different here. What I already said, this game takes place on Koholint Island, and not on Hyrule, which means that there's no Zelda, no Ganon or Ganondorf, and also no Triforce. And wow, this game actually looks really good. When we got the first trailer, I was really happy with the art style of the game, but after playing it, I really like it. It got a bit of a diorama feel, especially when you just look at it. The game got a bit of a top-down perspective, which looks really cool. Okay, and now it's time to start playing. And we don't have a sword. Well, that's normal. We already had to do a section with the sword and A Link to the Past, but that one didn't really have enemies, while in this game there are some spike balls which look like deities Gardos. We have to use a shield to get past them, and now we got a sword. If you've played the original, you might love this updated version, because in the original, the sword and the shield will be like all the other items. So if you want to bomb something, you can't have your shield in if you were using both the sword and shield. So your sword is now always bound to B, and your shield is now bound to R or ZR. Something that I found kind of strange was that you can't use the D-pad to walk. You can only use the left joystick. It will be cool to also use the D-pad just to make the game feel more like the original. But besides that, Link plays great, just like the original, but when you first start playing, he might feel a bit slow, but that is just inside your head. The graphics kind of mess you up with that at first. Okay, so I want to go more in depth on the graphics. Damn, they look good. I can remember the original graphics looking pretty good for the Game Boy, but remaking it on the Switch did wonders for the entire world. Just look at the swamp on the Game Boy version. It already looked pretty good in my opinion, but look at it now. It's so beautiful. Also, the original game had these like screens, which meant that you could only see a bit of the world to of course save storage, but also because the Game Boy screen was so small. But on the Switch, we can basically see almost everything, especially now since the full map is loaded all the time. Just like in Breath of the Wild, well, it is if you're outside, but when you're in a building, it only loads that one room or different rooms that are connected if you're in a dungeon or cave. While I'm on the topic of looks, the minigames that are in this game got probably the biggest makeover yet. So first there's the trendy game, which first looked like this. And it now looks like this. And yes, there is a Yoshi doll in the center, and I will get to that in just a second. And then there's also the fishing minigame, which in the original would only give you some rupees and a piece of heart. This version will now also give a bottle, some seashells. Okay, now let's get into one of the most known and biggest trading quests in the Zelda series. It's just a trading side quest which starts with a Yoshi doll and ends with getting a very powerful item, which I won't spoil yet, but I will talk about how to start this trading side quest. So first you need to get the Yoshi doll from the trendy game, then you need to trade it for a ribbon, and then you need to trade the ribbon for some dog food. And from there on out, you're on your own, because it's a pretty long side quest. Okay, so I also mentioned that you could get seashells from the fishing minigame. And well, you can basically find them everywhere. They're basically the main collectible in this game, and there are now 50 of them. While in the original there were only 20. Yeah, that's crazy. When you collect them, you can trade them at a special house somewhere on the island. And when you get enough, you can even get a sword upgrade, which is really cool. You can now also get minifigurines of Mario enemies from the claw game. It's pretty cool, and you can put them around Mob Village. Let's also talk a bit about the dungeons. They're actually pretty solid, but finding them is easier than other Zelda games. They are just there, and you just need to find a key somewhere on the island to get into. But some of the quests to get the keys are pretty cool. There's one where you need to find 5 golden leaves in a castle, and there's also one where you resurrect a dead rooster, which lets you fly over a big gap somewhere on the island. And of course, in dungeons you got puzzles, and of course a big bad boss. And you can literally find Mario enemies in these, and even Kirby, but he's evil. There are also some 2D sections, which is pretty cool, and Link can even jump, but you will need the Roc's Feather to do so, which is in the first dungeon. The music for the dungeons and the bosses have also been upgraded a lot, and even though the game was originally on Game Boy, all the dungeons had a different theme, but the bosses all had the same theme, and damn, it sounds amazing. It even uses some part of the original theme, and I really loved the original theme. There's also a special dungeon, which is the Color Dungeon. This one got added in the Game Boy Color version, and it's also back for the Switch version. In this dungeon there are puzzles which all focus on color, and when you beat the dungeon you can choose which tunic you want Link to change into. The red tunic gives you more strength, so you will be able to defeat enemies quicker, or the blue tunic, which gives Link more defense. I went with the blue one because I already found the game to be a bit too easy and I just wanted to listen to the boss music. Something I forgot to say is that this game actually has power-ups. Yeah, power-ups in a Zelda game. So there are 2 of them. There's the Piece of Power and the Guardian Acorn. So the Piece of Power makes it Link do extra damage and it can be boosted with the red tunic. And the Guardian Acorn gives Link more defense, and this can also be boosted with the blue tunic. They also have a theme. It's the same for both, but I gotta say that I enjoyed them more on the Game Boy because they had a shorter use time on it, and because I just don't really enjoy the music of it. You can actually get both of them from any enemy except mini bosses and bosses. So, let's talk a bit about the stuff that has been added into this remake. One of the things that I really wanted to see return was the Photoshop, which was run by a mouse with a camera, but it got removed and now we got Dampé's Dungeon Builder, and it was advertised as the brand new thing in this game, but it's not that good. Okay, so we all know Super Mario Maker, where you can basically build a Mario level from scratch. Well, with Dampé's Dungeon Builder, you get almost no freedom. So first you need to beat all the dungeons and collect a lot of rupees to even do everything, because in the dungeon builder you build dungeons with parts of dungeons you have defeated, which sounds fine, but it's still very linear. And to even get every room you can use, you also need to beat all of Dampé's challenges, and the first couple of them are fun because they are short, but it gets annoying after a while. Just dragging the pieces is slow. You need to look at what kind of dungeon rooms you put where because of keys or stairs, and you also need to always have at least one chest and a boss room. So if you want to have a boss gauntlet, you have to make one on your own. If you want to play someone else's dungeon, or if they want to play your dungeon, well, get a Zelda amiibo ready, because that's the only way to share dungeons. And the other new thing are bottles. In other Zelda games, I really like bottles, especially in Ocarina of Time, where they can be used to fight Ganondorf. But here in Link's Awakening, they are only used to capture fairies, which I almost never did because I used the blue tunic and I only died once, but I forgot where I died. Then there are now more warp points, which is just for getting to places faster. A lot of these were in the original, but on the Switch you can now choose which one you want to go to, instead of jumping in one and teleport into another one and then doing that over and over until you get to the right one. And the last new thing that I got added is Hero Mode, and it's just the same game, but enemies don't drop hearts and enemies also do more damage. and you sadly don't get anything special if you already beat the game, like in the Wind Waker HD. Well, that basically wraps up Link's Awakening. Well, except for the final boss, but I won't spoil that, because even if you have played the original or the Game Boy Color one, this boss isn't like that, and there's also a lot of stuff with Marin, but I also don't want to spoil that, because it's one of the best character growth in the Zelda game. All of this talking about Link's Awakening has made me feel nostalgic. You know what? I'm gonna play some Skyward Sword. I haven't touched that game in years.
Wii Remote into the jacket as far as it will go. Feed the Wii Remote wrist strap from the inside of the jacket through the strap.
Wait, I don't have a Wii Motion Plus controller, or one of those things. Well, that sucks. Goodbye.